Welcome to a very special episode of Date Your Donors, recorded live in front of a studio audience here at the beautiful Armin Hotel in Stamford, Connecticut. I am Jonah Halper, your host today, and we are going to be diving into what fundraising is really about: relationships, rhythm, and relevance, with three powerhouse voices in the world of donor engagement. This keynote session is generously sponsored by our good friends at J Furniture, where quality, comfort, and community come together. Are you guys in the audience? There we go. Thank you. All right, from classroom seating to custom-built solutions, J Furniture partners with Jewish day schools across North America to create beautiful, functional spaces that support learning and connection. As a family-run business with decades of experience, J understands the unique needs of Jewish institutions and delivers furniture that's as durable as your mission. Visit jfurniture.com, that's J-E-Y furniture.com, to learn how they can support your school's next upgrade. All right. This program is all about shifting from asking to aligning. How do we secure new donors with confidence, build authentic connections without desperation, and keep the spark alive all year round, even in the off-season? These are not my topics. These are your topics. When you registered for this conference, we asked you for your ideas, your thoughts, your feedback on what would be most valuable to you, and we took all your ideas and synthesized it into these three topics. Yes, not everything was able to be addressed, and I wish we could do it all. We don't have more time than we have today, but we hope that these topics that we're going to talk about today will address the things that you are interested in. So get ready for stories, bold strategies, and human-centered wisdom from Rabbi Yaakov Tesser, Rabbi Ephraim Blumenkrantz, and Rabbi Binyamin Septon. Round of applause, guys. Whether you're here in the room or listening from afar, we have over 3,500 people who listen to our podcast on various platforms, whether it's Apple or Spotify and YouTube. We are very excited to get started. This is a conversation you don't want to miss. I'd now like to invite Rabbi Yaakov Tesser onto the stage, into our studio. Rabbi Yaakov Tesser. You have to climb a little bit over here. Right. All right, so now I'm going to do your introduction. We got to know who you are. Rabbi Yaakov Tesser serves as the executive director of Yeshiva Ohavei Torah and is the esteemed rabbi of Young Israel of Aberdeen, New Jersey. With a unique blend of warmth, strategy, and storytelling, he has built a reputation for turning meaningful conversations into lasting partnerships. Rabbi Tesser doesn't just fundraise, he educates, empowers, and inspires, especially when engaging donors who may be new to Torah causes. Through his leadership, he's expanded both the reach and impact of his yeshiva, providing the clarity, confidence, and connection that are keys to securing new supporters. Rabbi Yaakov Tesser, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, move right into the microphone. There we go, beautiful. Okay, so obviously you're here to talk on the subject of securing new donors. It's something that is relevant to all of us. We tend to go to the people who are the usual suspects, which is important. You need to be able to get the baseline of giving from the people who are the parents, the grandparents, the people who are within your usual wheelhouse. But there's always the question of how do you engage people who are not necessarily in the fold, not the obvious people. That might be people who are religious and in the community, that are just community people. It might be people who are like UJA Federation type people. It really runs the gamut. And some will have stronger connections to Judaism and some won't. In our early conversations, you were talking to me about how fundraising is really about giving and not taking. So if you could expand a little bit on what does that mean and how does that relate, especially when you're talking about securing new donors?
When a person who's in our industry fully internalizes that when we approach a donor, we're not asking for anything. We are giving them everything that they need to succeed on this world. A person lives by that. There is no uncomfortable situation. What's uncomfortable? You're giving somebody, if they don't want it, they don't get it.
That's their missed opportunity.
Yeah. And if a person could review this, chazer this every single day when we wake up, we get in the car, we get in front of people, then there's no uncomfortability. The reason I say this specifically when it comes to secular donors is because there, it's seems to be just culturally so separate from what our circles are used to, that that being uncomfortable and feeling strange in their presence is at the highest level. So that's why I mentioned it with regard to secular donors the most, because remember, you're giving them. Now with secular donors, there's another thing, is that they also most likely need it more than the regular donors. Because regular donors are usually subscribed to multiple organizations. Most likely the secular donor you get in front of is not subscribed. And this is what I've seen families change their entirety, children, doiris, just from when they started giving tzedakah. So you're doing for them more, it pales in comparison to what you're getting, even if you're netting a tremendous donation and it helps your whole year. Still, their giving has improved and reshaped their entire life.
So, okay, that's really interesting. And you're mentioning that you're doing them an opportunity, giving them an opportunity to feel fulfilled in a way that they haven't had it beforehand. So you know that this is going to shape them. So if you're talking about engaging someone who is secular or someone who is not really in the fold, how are you connecting with them in a way that is relevant to them, right? How are you introducing concepts of Torah, concepts of tefillah, things that you're saying, well, you are providing in spades to your community, your school, your shul, and you're bringing it to somebody who might be a really foreign concept. So as much as like you described, it would be uncomfortable for you as the solicitor saying, I'm walking to a world that I'm not familiar with or I'm not comfortable with. I imagine that same thing is for them. Who's this guy with a big beard, big black hat? I feel like I'm walking into another world. So how do you connect some of the concepts that are foundational, the alignment of the values that you have, and introduce it to somebody who this might really be a foreign concept for them?
Great question. Same rule as every donation that anybody has ever solicited. 90% of fundraising is not the race. Becoming a real friend, this you're going to hear, I'm sure, the entire day. This is basics of fundraising. And 90% of a fundraiser's job should be becoming a real friend, not even as a tactic, but becoming a real friend. And money comes from friends. So the job with a secular donor to become a friend is a very long conversation. I don't think the time allows for that, but there has to be a creative way that every fundraiser has in order to get into the door of the donor.
So you're looking for certain access points.
Access points. You got to be able to be very intuitive, picking up on what talks to them. Every community is different. Every yeshiva is in a community, but every community is different. Every age group is different. Sometimes with children, it's the easiest. You can make events. Just simply, I was just talking to Rabbi Septon about this a few minutes ago. If you have a gym in your building, allowing the local boys to play in your gym on a weekly basis, and then making some kind of end-of-year event when the parents come. Then you pick up on a problem that one of the children are having, and you're the one to help them through that problem. You know of a good orthodontist that one of the kids need, and you help them, and you make it a little bit more difficult than it is. So it seems like you're super engaged in it. And you now are a player in their lives. You now helped this boy, and you provided a weekly athlete program for them to play ball. You made it end of year, and then you had a little speaker, Dvar Torah. There are multiple ways for access points, but that's the goal.
I would imagine there's also like life cycle events that are natural ways to introduce them.
Life cycle events are king. Any wedding that you could, now by the secular people, the weddings are more official than we're used to, like where you just go and don't even put on a tie. Or you're
lucky if you have name tags or anything.
Yeah, but by them it goes by invitation. But you can find opportunity with end of life stuff like funeral. Can't tell you how many times Siyata D'Shmai I've been able to capitalize on funerals. Simply right after a burial, going over to the widow and speaking to them about their husband's legacy and how you could quickly arrange that young children are studying in their memory. This just speaks so straight to the heart, and it lasts forever, and you maintain that, and now you're in, and they tell a friend who, oh yeah, the rabbi did this for me, and the opportunities are endless.
Do you have any good stories that you could share that kind of, give that kind of that lesson?
Yeah, I was. It was a fellow, this person I brought him in for the yeshiva, had sponsored a paroiches in my shul, and I took over the shul. Somebody who passed away and wanted to dedicate a new paroiches. So I tracked this guy down. He had still lived in my community, hadn't shown up to shul many years. I asked him if we could take it over. He said, no problem. Once I was sitting with him, I learned that he's somewhat of a knowledgeable guy in learning, so I asked to learn with him once a week. We learned for a few months together. Then I would go meet him occasionally, just to go. He moved to a different town, like a beach town. I would go down every so often to say hello. Then he started worrying about his end of life. So he started calling me. Could you come visit? I'm nervous. You know, he should live and be well. He's still going. But he turned into a mega donor for our yeshiva. He would always ask me, thank you for the visit. Just the fact that I was there for him, I had gone originally for something that I needed, but the fact that I was there for him during his time of need made him a truly close friend. Now he literally is asking me when I want my donation. I literally have to tell him no donations because I don't want it to turn that every visit is a donation.
Right. I do know that there are many yeshivas or, kollels that don't realize some of the assets they have, because if they ever do any kind of yard site thing where they say Kaddish for someone who passes away, I mean, I remember we did some work with Skokie Yeshiva in Chicago, and they've got yard site donors going back to the 1960s. And there are many other communities in that you might have these people are just people who are giving to you because of a yard site, and sometimes there's real opportunity to connect with people there, calling them and say, do you have somebody, for this month you want to do dedication. Parnas Hayom. Parnas Hayom has always been like kind of like the runt of the litter when it comes to giving opportunities. Like, oh, we happen to have something that you can give at your school, but those are often people who are connected around, whether it's like you said, someone passes away, you connect on a shiva, you connect on giving the hesped, and sometimes it's as easy as looking at the people who are already there to give.
If a yeshiva has the opportunity to implement a serious Parnas Hayom program, the benefits are unbelievable. Stay on top of it. Send them letters ahead of the yard site. I mean, I know this is standard. Many yeshivas already have it, but there's so much to be gained. The person can really lock in 365 days a year that are sponsored, which obviously is...
And they're repeatable. To get them to give again is not hard because the yard site doesn't change.
Yeah, you send them a letter in advance. During the day, you send them a video showing them what's going on in the yeshiva that day. Opportunities are endless. Especially
if they're some of the older donors. Like, we've done work where there was like a Holocaust program with someone. We invited people who are yard site donors to come to the Holocaust program. Hey, join me. And sometimes that's enough of a connection to bring them in a deeper way. So its question is like, what comes next for some of these donors? But I want to kind of shift the focus a little bit, because I know that like something like that is very broad-based, right? We're looking at a volume of donors. And I know your style is much more like a foot wide and a mile deep. So have you found that to be the most effective use of your time as opposed to the volume? How has that played out as far as the development of fundraising? Because in the end of the day, everyone here needs to make payroll. Everyone needs to do their crowdfunding and their dinner and their this and that. How much of your time is dedicated on going deep, and what does that look like?
Excellent point. With experience in the industry, not that I have 20, 30 years, but I've learned that the way a person figures out jobs in a organization should be the most talented person at fundraising should be doing fundraising, and they should hire people around them to free them up. Fundraising is absolutely a job that, no matter the size of the organization, I know might sound crazy, is 365 days a year. There's no such thing of we're not in fundraising mode, or we're past campaign season, so now. These are opportunities. These are things that I've learned myself. These are all opportunities to build up your ask that one time a year, that it's a seamless ask and you can go for more.
How many relationships are you handling in a deeper way? Obviously, you can't give white glove service to 120 people, but I just get a sense of like what does your makeup look like?
I try my hardest to give white glove service to every single person.
Oh, right answer.
And enable and try to do the most around me with other people, delegate that I could be the freest bird to give the white glove service to all the people.
So there is a delegation aspect where you could say, I don't have to be the primary guy. There are yeshivas that have a Rosh Yeshiva that you can only, use them, weaponize them in a limited basis. They're really on the academic side, their education side. You can't just bring them wherever you go for every donor. So it sounds like there is an aspect of deciding when do they get, Rabbi Yaakov Tesser time versus somebody else.
Right. Yeah, sure. You have to be able to know who's your donor, so to speak, and somebody else's donor, and figure out the best way to monopolize on that. The key is for an executive director to be as free as possible. Obviously, this executive director has to have the work ethic and the knowledge that this is a 365 days a year job. I don't live in a community where there's other shuls, but if I did, if you do, you should be spending Shabbos, the day to do this also. You go to a kiddush, you find out about something, anything to see somebody, to make somebody feel good, be mechazik somebody, get involved with their families. These are all powerful fundraising tools. That's why I say 365 versus not Shabbos.
Yeah, we're going to get to the off season because we do want to avoid a scenario where it's like, okay, now we're in campaign season. Now you talk to the donors, and then every time everything else is another focus. Not that the other things are not important, but you are 100% correct. Okay, so I guess my last question for you is, they say it's good to learn from your own mistakes, even better learn from other people's mistakes. So what are the things that are the common pitfalls or challenges, especially when you're looking to secure new donors, whether they're religious or not religious, but not people who are in the fold? What are some of the things to watch out for?
I had just now a story with a more modern donor, a family in our school. He was giving us mega donations every year. Son graduated, and we kept it up, Baruch Hashem, for 3 years. Comes year 4, he made the same commitment that he did the prior 3, but he said, this year I'm going to be paying it over time. So I started becoming a collector. I started asking, could we get 15 today, like we all do.
I was about to say, this is probably a very, everyone's empathizing.
I noticed as time passed, he started ignoring. I then, when he finished the donation, when he was $7,000 short, I sent him a tremendous gift to his door. Calls me, what's up? I said, just making sure you're not ignoring me.
That's a very on the nose.
So he says, what do you need? He says, do I have a balance? I said, yeah, 7, but that's not what I want now. I want a meeting. He says, okay. The meeting means money. These are all different clues that I was getting with the way he was feeling.
Right, these are all symptoms of how he views the relationship.
I get into the office with him, down to his office, and he's like, our whole relationship is money. I'm makir tov to the yeshiva. Sorry, makir tov to the yeshiva.
Yep.
And he, when does this end? I got such a lesson from him. I learned since then, it was like right before Pesach. Called him Erev Pesach. He's like, why are you calling it? To wish you a good Yom Tov. He's like, Then Matzah Pesach, how was Yom Tov? All this work. And now you should know that he gave me a problem that he's dealing with, and I'm trying to help him with it. And he called me to thank me to help him the problem. I'm preparing for the next ask. But the mistake is that the 90% of fundraising I did not do. I only did the 10%. And I lost a big donation from it. It's Hashem, we're building back.
Amazing. Rabbi Yaakov Tesser, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to open up for a few minutes. You get to sit here. You're still in the hot seat. We have some microphones around. Where are the microphones? Is there anyone there's no one to pass them around? Yeah, you want to give it out to anybody? I guess we don't have anybody in the audience to officially handing out the mics. Just make sure it's in the on position. There's 2 mics in case you. Thank you very much for doing this. Oh. Mr. Liner, are the microphones working? All right, maybe we'll just try to take a couple questions now without the mics and while they're working on it. Anyone have any questions? I know he was good. Was he that good?
He's good.
Any questions? Yes. Take the microphone, say your name, what school or what organization you're with, and then ask your question.
Shalom. Moshe Levin from the Pittsburgh Kollel, Rosh Kollel in Pittsburgh Kollel.
Thank you for coming.
So I'm new to the business. I'm wondering about the initial call. I mean, obviously, after you have somewhat of a relationship with somebody, but you want to call them and to be able to arrange a meeting. So within that phone call, and you're thinking about the phone call until the meeting. So how do you set up that call in a way that they're not going to be wondering and curious and setting up defenses between now and the meeting?
Okay. When Jonah asked me if I want to talk about this, I told him that I'm in the door with all these people. I mean, it's just my demographic is with these people. Like, it's not fear, but my opinion, the answer to your question is that it's not the phone call. I wouldn't start that way at all. You have to be thinking. People might argue with me. I know people do. You got to be thinking of all the ways you possibly could get access to that target. Let's say Bill and Gertrude live on Pittsburgh Avenue, near your kollel. Right? You have to just be thinking. I can't even give examples because there's like a million of them. You have to be thinking, how do I get in their face that they need me, that I could become a friend of theirs? And when that happens, then you make your ask. For you to get a meeting, they right away, black and white, rabbi, yeah, they want our money. They'll give you the $18. By the way, these people have no concept of giving at all. They have no. I had a story, a guy calls me, one of my congregants moved to Florida, he calls me one day, Rabbi, you'll be so proud of me. Why? He's like, I just gave so much tzedakah. I said, what was your total? $2,100.
Big bucks.
I said, wow, big donations, yeah. I supported 84 charities with that money. So I said, who did you give it to? I gave it to the tree, to the Sisterhood's tree in Israel, to this town, to Boots, and to all these beautiful things, all organizations. $8 a pop. They have no concept of giving at all. The giving needs shimush and needs to be raised with it to understand the benefits, to feel partner. They feel like secular donor, you ask them for money, you're taking their heart away from them. It's their money. But in response to your question, I would say is the main thing is all the before. It's not the text or the how you're going to ask the question. It's more of setting up access points. You got to be very focused on what this family is all about, what they like. See if they have something that you can offer them. That's the way I would approach it.
And if I could just piggyback on what he's saying is that going to somebody truly cold, right? There's no kesher is the equivalent of you opening up Forbes magazine and saying Michael Bloomberg, right? Like, you don't have permission to just call Michael Bloomberg. Like, what's the angle? What's the avenue? So the exercise of going through the people that you're looking at and saying, like, how many degrees of separation are they truly away from me? Right? Say, okay, do they go golfing on Saturday with one of my board members, or do they, like, what's the connection? If you start there, then you'll find you have plenty of work to do, that you don't have to go chase the person who is truly just a Jewish name in the phone book who lives within a 1 mile radius. So being able to kind of audit your network and say, these are my people, what does 1 degree of separation look like away? And is there a natural then to go move into what Rabbi Tesser is saying, is to move into how do I look for an organic, natural way to inject myself into the conversation that's valuable to them, right? That's the operative word. It's like, it has to be valuable to them. And if you can provide value to them, it might be something that if they got honored, they care about something, say, I saw that, this is your thing, and I wanted to, I saw an article. Back in the old days, before everything else, I used to clip articles when I worked in the Federation system. I see an interesting article that I was like, oh, this guy's going to appreciate it, and I would send it to him in the mail, and I would get a phone call saying, we don't know each other, but that was really nice of you to think, that you thought of me when you saw this article, because, sometimes like things like that, something that's about doing something for them, and people, or whether it makes a difference whether you're religious, not religious, people want human connection. They want to feel seen. They want to feel like what they're doing is important, right? What they're doing in their career, in their philanthropy, whatever it is, like sometimes going to a person and saying, I know that you are very generous in Jewish education in our city, and it's important that you know what we're doing. Maybe we could be a valuable asset as thought leadership or anything to the schools that you're involved in. And I'm not coming for money, but maybe I could be of help to you. Maybe learning what we're doing might be interesting to the other organizations that you're supporting. Sometimes it's that. So it's just sometimes kind of reframing it and saying, don't go chase anybody. 1 degree of separation at most, and say, is there a natural avenue for you to get that introduction through the fellow golf player, and make sure you're giving value. That. Okay.
I want to just go back to the first point for one. The greatest $100 I ever personally received was when I had gone to a family to educate them on giving charity. And they never gave more than an $18 donation. They gave a significant donation that day. When they sent a check, they put in $100 for me, written out to my name, thanking me for changing their lives and teaching them how to give charity. And I know this is a while ago, that since then they've been giving very significant donations to other organizations. This is not me flexing my muscles here at all. My point is to show that you're really you're changing people's lives by helping them give. So anything that you could do for them, to be able to get them one day to give, will be totally changing generations for them.
If I could give you a suggestion on the donor who gave 80 different places, the equivalent total of $2,100, you could tell him that he's doing what the Rambam says, that you should give not to one place a lot of money, but you should give to a lot of places. The only thing he has to do is learn to increase the dollar amount to those lot of places.
He has to increase it. The guy's worth $1 billion.
All right. Thank you very much, Rabbi Tesser.